Yeah, so just being real, I'm not sure that I'm going to put this one out there for people to see. This one is just for me. Um, Man, just in a difficult place. My head is a little bit in the press. So in the midst of what I think is extreme, glorious beauty that we've come into, I've also had, um, again, I think this is a created reality in my own brain, but just a lot of difficulty that I'm seeing, that I'm embracing, right, and I'm making real. And yesterday, in the midst of that, um, when was it yesterday? I don't know. I remember just being kind of a bit of a jackwagon to my family, to the ones that I loved. And part of it is like I've been walking around mentally exhausted, from carrying, partly from carrying some weights of what I'm not doing, right? Just like I know I should be doing A, B, and C, and I'm not, and that's a lot in business and some in my family. And you know what? Hey, this is for me. So let's just get particular here, shall we? Reality is that we're living into something right now that is a little bit difficult. Hopefully that guy doesn't make me leave. Okay, cool. It's a challenge, just business-wise. It is a freaking challenge. And again, most of that is up here. I think I have a plan often, and then I don't. And then I feel like I can do nothing. I literally feel like I can do nothing, but that everything is being required of me. Just prospecting, with business prospecting, with family. I know that I've got kids that are with me that, for whatever reason, they're a little bit locked up, and it's my job to call out greatness in them and help them to see who they really are, and to give them the key, so to speak, like I supposedly do for everyone else in life. And the reality is that sometimes I think I buy into that I don't have enough resources to do it, so time or money. And so yesterday blasted my daughter. I told her that the reason everything is messed up is because this one thing is messed up. And it's just like, it's not true. And obviously, I've apologized. I've yet to set things completely right and help her to see the good in herself. But I did that. I'm the guy that did that. And then here today, I was out on a date with Chris, and in the middle of, hey, we were out for a little bit, and it's like, okay, making some movement, feeling like I have the right direction, and about to have some actionable things that we can do and we can plan from. I come home and, the kids are basically, it's like they woke up, everything is in the same place it was hours ago, which is, we're still kind of like camping inside this house. We still haven't really like unpacked everything, and so that was frustrating. And we just found out. So we didn't know how to work the washer, and turns out Chris just called me a few moments ago, and you just have to have the lid closed. Who would have thought? So anyway, we've all had like dirty clothes, and not a lot of them, because everything had to fit in backpacks. And there were kids who were frustrated because they needed new clothes, and so just for so that was a thing. I'm like, man, I just wanted to go home and bring them out and into the park and get them outside and let them adventure and blow off some steam while I finished my talk with Chris. And that turned into some time, and then that time turned into a little bit of frustration, and I'm hearing kids kind of biting at each other. So so it's not perfect, right? It's not always and my son at one point is complaining, one of my sons who's growing a lot, and who only has dirty clothing right now, mostly because we didn't know how to work a washer, and we just haven't been able to get out and do. And we were actually thinking about alternatives and how are we going to do this. Anyway, so he starts complaining, and rightfully so, literally rightfully so. And I'm getting frustrated. I'm like, you know what? Listen, guys, I'm stepping out. I just need to get a breath. And then Chris is sitting in front of me because she's asking for an answer on something where we got to meet someone about a house that we think we're gonna move into. And at that point, I reach for my phone. She asked me what time it is. I reach for the phone, the one that's in my hands now, and I pull it out of my pocket, and it lands freaking squarely on the tile floor, squarely. And I'm looking at probably 1,000 cracks, a spider web across my screen. And at the moment, before I even picked it up, I knew it was a bad one. Full force, slammed my notebook. I had my notebook in my hand and just slam it on the ground. And everyone looks, at Daddy. And, some of them are ready to go and some are not. And I just come loose, I come loose for a second. And someone says, "Oh, was that Anna?" They were blaming her. Was that Efi? They were blaming one of the kids for dropping my phone or something like that. And I just yell, I'm like, "No, that's Dad. Everything that's wrong in the equation right now is Dad." And I just kind of go on for about, 3 or 4 minutes. And I don't come unglued often, but I came unglued. And oh wow, I see this cracked screen. Oh, if I'm on the left part, there's a crack on them. Oh, and down and over my camera. This is stinking amazing. And so, I kind of, beat up on myself in front of them. And I tell them, like, hey, here are the places where I know it's my job, and here are the places where I'm failing, and I'm sorry. But I wasn't saying I'm sorry like in a contrite way. I was just kind of barking, I'm sorry. Dad's the one that's supposed to be, providing more. And Dad's the one that's supposed to be helping you guys to figure out how to do things on your own. And Dad's the one that's supposed to be, helping you to know who you are and creating a better environment. And I'm not. And, and at that moment, honestly, every failing that I have in my life was just in front of my face. And, I mean, this is it's a moment of shame. I'm just kind of being, this is for me. Again, I don't know if I plan on sharing this. And so, at that point, I said, I'm sorry. My daughter comes up, and of course, crying. And I hug her and tell her, it's okay. It's me. And, wow, this is great. I'm looking at the cracks on my glass. So, anyway, so those are a few of those things. I did end in a way. I say end, ask for forgiveness. I'm going to elaborate on that a little bit better with them as I get back into the house. Which, as I'm walking, my wife was. I went upstairs for a little bit on the terrace and just prayed for a bit. And came down and decided I had to go get some fresh air for myself, by myself, just so I could be any good to them. And honestly, right now, it's just I'm at the moment where I'm coming down from it. But I just can't stand myself, I don't know if you ever looked at yourself and you just can't stand yourself. But anyway, so I just walked to the end of our street. Chris called me and asked me to come back and be with people, and I am, but anyway, just a part of the chronicle. I know that God is going to help us figure this out. I know that things are going to be put together beautifully, but I also realize that there's some broken pieces that need to be put together, and figuratively and literally. Now I have a phone that's got to be fixed, and I think in Mexico it's like 5 times the price for anything electronic. So everything else is cheap. Electronics not so much. So hey, anyway, Maybe I do put this out there, maybe not. What in the world do I have to complain about? I have nothing to complain about. I don't even know this building. I kind of ended up at a cool building here. But you know, hey, just praying and just sharing, and you know, the way that I deal with these situations wasn't the best. Typically, I've got a friend here. I'm gonna sit down next to him. But you know, typically, you know, this is definitely a prayer thing. I pray. I'm gonna pray in tongues. I pray. It's just what I do. But I'm gonna walk and walk and walk and walk and walk and walk and walk, and this is fixed through grace, through grace, through grace, through grace, through grace. So all of the things that I do bad, the Lord does well, and I know He's putting things in their place, and He's making things good and making things whole, and He's making things grand and beautiful. And I voluntarily walk into that plan, and I voluntarily choose to believe the good about my situation, about myself, and about every area. And I choose to not pick up the pressures, these fake little stories that I would tell myself in my head. And I choose not to allow other people to feel the negative repercussions of that. But I'm gonna go repair, and I'm gonna go hug, I'm gonna go put people back in order and back in place, and I'm gonna build people up like it ain't nobody's business, because that is what I do. That's who I am, and you know, that's what the spirit in me is always drawn to. So anyway, was not much of a man just now. Walked away from something I could have stood strong in that moment, but I just needed a breather, and just needed God to put things back in order in my brain. And so now I'm gonna go put those back in order in my real life. And so, hey, there you go. How about that one for reality? The drama. What do you think, bud? He's not agreeing with me, so whatever.